Hello everybody and welcome back to this channel. My name is Sarah. My husband and I have been invited to a wedding at the end of March, and it is currently March 8th, and so I have just about 2 weeks to make something for it. And I love making dresses for special occasions, so this is the perfect opportunity to make and wear a fabulous dress. And what better opportunity than a friend's wedding. And so I have finally assembled all of the pieces to this project, so the fabric and the inner workings and all the little materials that I'll need. And it took a little while to get them all together. And I wanted to make a vlog of this process because it is going to be a little bit more involved, because I will be modifying both patterns to make sure that they fit together and adding a few different things to make them fit well and to get the dress that I want out of it. And so I thought I'd film that just in case it is of interest to you. And so let me show you what I'll be making. So I will be making this dress out of this viscose fabric. This is from Mind the Maker. It is 100% viscose, and it is called the Leia Cobalt Blue fabric. I have 4 meters, and I think that it's the perfect sort of weight and drape for the sort of midi-length swishy dress that I want to make. And I'm really excited to start working with this fabric. I think that the motif and the colors and the feeling of it just really corresponds to everything I was looking for, so I'm glad to have found that. And so I will be making a mashup of 2 different patterns for this dress that I have in mind. And so the bodice, I would like to use the top half of the Sew Over It Rosie dress. And there are 2 versions to this bodice. They both feature princess seams, and one has sort of a square neckline with a collar and wide straps, and the second one has a slightly sweetheart neckline with skinny straps. And I really love the shape of this one. I've made the first version once before, and I like that it's also fully lined and it has instructions for inserting boning, which I think will help support the weight of the skirt and keep the bodice from sort of slouching on me. And then for the bottom half, I would like to use the Kate skirt, the Sew Over It Kate skirt from their Work to Weekend ebook. And I've made this one once before, and I really love the A-line shape. It's sort of in between a slight A-line and a circle skirt. There's just enough volume, but not too much volume, I find. And I really love that the paneling allows you to choose between having slits or not. And so I think that I would like to lengthen it a little bit to make it midi length, and then have a side slit sort of, well, not side, but something sort of off center to the right or off center to the left, but only one. And I think that that's going to be a lot of fun to wear. So I'll just have to fiddle with the pattern pieces a little bit to make sure that they match up at the waist seam well, but other than that, I think it'll go well. And then to make this as well, I have a few other things. For the bodice of this dress, I'm a little bit worried that my fabric is a little bit too drapey and thin, and one of you actually commented very helpfully in one of my videos that using a silk organza would be perfect for adding some structure to the bodice versus a cotton or linen voile. I have worked with silk organzas before, and I do love working with it. Silk is really soft, and I find the shape of organza really interesting, and it presses really well, and that person was right. This is going to help add structure without adding weight or too much stiffness. I do think maybe I should have used this for my wedding dress as well, but that's the past. And yeah, I think that this will work quite well. I've used organza before for other projects, and I just didn't think of it, so thank you very much for reminding me. So I have this meter. It's sort of like an off-white organza, and I'll be reinforcing the bodice with this. Then I have some leftover boning from when I made my wedding dress, and it's just this sort of flexible plastic boning, and I think I have enough for all of the seams. I think there are 2 in the princess seams, and then on the side seams maybe 2, so probably 4 lengths total, and I think I have enough. It'll be fine. And then I have an invisible zipper in dark blue. This is 60 centimeters, just to make sure that I have enough, and I can always shorten it. And then I also have these pins for fine fabrics. I really like using these, and I have this tool left over. It goes around your wrist. It's from Boan, and it's just really easy to wear and pick pins with, so I like that accessory. It's not necessary for this project, but I like it. So basically, I am all set to get started. I think what I'm gonna do first, I have made this bodice before, but I do remember making modifications to it because it was a little bit big on me. And the last time I made this bodice was about 5 years ago, so I want to test the pattern and make sure that it still fits me. So I will be making a toile of just the bodice out of this leftover light linen fabric. I think that, yeah, that'll be fine. It'll only take me probably half an hour to do, and that's what I'm gonna do first. So let me show you the process of making this dress and get started. So looking at the pattern pieces of the bodice, I see that I have already in the past, I don't know when, but I have already traced out the version 2 bodice. The only thing that's different really is the center front piece. And then I see that I have changed quite a lot the fitting of this pattern because the smallest size available of this pattern is one size too big for my bust and waist measurements. So I see that I have taken in, for example, the center front piece, I've taken in a little bit along the princess seam, and then I've added 1.5 centimeters in the length of the bodice on all the pieces. And then I see that I've taken a little bit out from the side seam of the side bodice, and then also reshaped a little bit the back, the side back at the neckline. So I've modified this one quite a bit. So I definitely want to make a toile just to make sure that it still fits me correctly and that I don't need to modify it even further, just in case my body has changed since I last made this 5 years ago about. And so yeah, that's what I will be getting to now. So here's the bodice just sewn up in some extra cotton and linen fabric that I had left over. This is going to be a little bit stiffer than the fabric that I'm going to make it in the end, but I think with all of the layers of interfacing and then also the silk organza, it's going to be about this stiff. And so here it is. I think it fits pretty well. I'll adjust the straps a little bit more later because they are a little bit loose here, but there's going to be the weight of the skirt hanging and keeping it in place later, so I'll worry about that later. And I think so I've installed the zipper in the back here just temporarily, and I think it looks pretty good to fit in the back. I like the length that I changed. I added 1.5 centimeters here to the length, and I think that with the waist attached just about here, it corresponds with my natural waist. And I just want to, so I have on the bra that I'll be wearing, the strapless bra that I'll be wearing underneath, and I just want to adjust this princess seam a little bit because it is a little bit loose. I think I'll just take it in a little bit here and then a little bit going up this way towards the neckline. This is the neckline with the seam allowance, so it will be lower than this. I think the seam allowance is 1.5 centimeters or 1 centimeter along the top here. But yeah, I am pretty happy with the fit. I think it looks good. And I really like the shape of this sweetheart neckline. I think it's subtle and it's really nice. So yeah, time to put these modifications into the sewing pattern and then start cutting. Okay, so I have finished a few steps. I have cut out the bodice in both the silk organza pieces, and I forgot how much I really enjoy working with silk organza. This is just absolutely gorgeous. And I have cut it out in this viscose fabric that I just had in my stash as a lining, so the piece that will be, or the pieces that will be against my skin, because it's nice and soft and it won't add too much weight. So now I'm looking at the skirt pieces, and there are a few things that I'm going to have to modify to make this fit together. And first, so I measured down to the hem where it will hit with the skirt not modified, and I've decided that I'm going to add 15 centimeters or just about 6 inches to the skirt. And I think what I'm going to do, rather than tracing that in paper and sticking it, I think I'll just be able to follow the lines of the pattern here, just down 15 and then here and extend it and then just join it in the round here. And I think that'll be pretty easy. The only other thing with the skirt pieces is that this dress, this Kate dress from the Work to Weekend ebook from Sew Over It, is only available in a size 8, and that is a perpetual problem that I have with Sew Over It patterns, is that my waist and busts are a hypothetical size down. And so I will have to take in the side seams so that it fits my modified rosy bodice that I modified down to a hypothetical size 6 to fit my measurements. So a little bit of adjusting, and then I noticed with the skirt, and this is something that I forgot, is that the zipper is on the side. And there's a center back and a center front, and neither of them have seams in the center. So, well, I mean the front obviously, but in the back there's no center back seam. It's cut on the fold line. So I'm going to put the zip on the side, both in the skirt and in the bodice, and I think because the bodice has a side seam, it's going to be just fine. And I'll put it on the left side because it's easier for me with my right hand, I'm right-handed, to zip it up myself. And so that's what I'm going to do. I am going to have to take out some of the extra in the sides of the skirt. So I'm going to probably baste the side seams together before sewing it, because I want to do French seams on the inside of the skirt. I think that it'll work well with this fabric. And then the other thing with this fabric that I am debating, so as you can see, the sort of pattern or the design of the fabric is quite large and not too contrasting. So I'm wondering whether I'm going to pattern match along the seams, which is going to be difficult because there are princess seams in the bodice and then there are also panels in the skirt. So that's a lot of pattern matching if I do that. But I was holding it up against myself and seeing, does it look weird if I don't pattern match? So let's say it's like this. I don't think it's very noticeable. I mean, it's draping here and it won't be so drapey in the bodice. Like that. Yeah, I don't think it makes a difference. Okay, so long story short, I'm not going to be pattern matching and it's going to be a lot easier. Hooray. So I have finished preparing all of the steps before sewing, and I can finally get into actually sewing this project. But off camera last night, I did a few other preparation steps that I wanted to show you. So I stay stitched the neckline edges of the bodice pieces on the lining and also the shell fabric, or the fashion fabric. And then I also interfaced the bodice pieces in the shell or fashion fabric as well, just to add a little bit more stability to it. I think that will stabilize a little bit more. And then I also made the rouleau straps out of this fabric. It was actually a little bit easier to turn them with my rouleau turner than I anticipated, and I was able to make them pretty small, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, now I'm going to, I have a checklist here. I think I'm ready. I've been crossing things off as I go. I did lengthen the skirt when I was cutting it out, all of the pieces 20 centimeters instead of 15 centimeters, just because it's better to cut it longer than shorter, and then regret it later. I can always cut off the excess. And I have all of my bodice layers ready. So I'll be sewing up the 3 layers of the bodice, as in the lining, the interlining, and then the shell pieces. Inserting the boning and then sewing up the skirt pieces and attaching the skirt and the zip. So it should be pretty straightforward from now on. I'm pretty confident about sewing this dress up. I think I've sewn so many dresses that now it's just sort of getting to it. It's a rainy day. I have all day to work on it. I'm excited. And I think that the prep work is in cutting it out and preparing everything. Even finding the idea is 3/4 of the work already done. So I'm excited to get to it, and let's get sewing. I just had the strangest sense of deja vu when I was making my wedding dress bodice. It was 3 layers of a princess-themed bodice to sew. It's the springtime, it's bringing back memories. Happy and stress memories, but mostly happy. So the event is tomorrow. It is now Friday afternoon, and I don't work Friday afternoons, so I have, I think, plenty of time and daylight to finish this dress, and it's almost finished. Let me show you how it's going. So it's been hanging for about 48 hours because I wanted the hem to drop before I hemmed it. And I have just finished sewing the lining to the zipper tape here, to the edge here, and sort of finishing. Now I need to sew the lining to the waist seam here. Maybe I'll show you here, it'll be easier. Now I need to sew the lining down here. I usually do that by hand, or I'm going to do it by hand. I just need to make sure that I trim some of the bulk of this waist seam here because I'm having a hard time closing the zip at the waist seam, which is also deja vu from my wedding dress. And then it's just about finished. I might reinforce the straps here because they are holding a bit of weight, although once it's zipped up, it's pretty good. And then I need to determine how long I want the dress to be. I think it's too long now. I might take off 3 to 5 inches and then hem it. And then it'll be finished and ready for tomorrow. It is now Friday evening, and I am very happy to report that it is finished. I have just finished doing the hem, so I decided to sew, whoop, it's caught here. So I decided to sew a baby hem here, and it's going to be T-length rather than midi length or maxi length. I didn't have enough fabric for maxi because when I put it on at first, I thought I would make it midi length, but then I decided I really like the longer length, and T-length is a little bit in between, I think. Maybe I'm making that up, but I think it's going to be really nice. And stay tuned if you'd like to see a clip of me wearing it all styled right before the event. I'm going to try and get that and insert it after here, but I'll say goodbye now. I hope you enjoyed this video and watching me complete this project, and I hope you are all doing well. I will see you again here soon with another video very soon, and take care. Bye-bye.